Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. I'm excited and happy to be here with you today. Our quote of the day today is intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Speaking of change, we've got our national conference coming up March 18th through the 20th. Make sure to mark your calendar, get those days cleared out so that you can be fully present for these 3 full days of training. Our theme is shifting higher into focused transformation. This is our opportunity to get to hear from Bob Snyder himself and to hear about any new announcements that we have with the company. Bob Snyder typically waits till nationals to give us some new and exciting information. So make sure that you're present so that you can be there for those announcements, as well as really great training from leaders from across the nation, as well as a keynote speaker. I'm really looking forward to our national conference. It's going to be online and tickets are now available to be purchased in your Helios back office. We've got dates for a leadership retreat. We're going to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So excited to see you there. That's going to be August 13th through the 17th. Mark your calendar. The Founders Live is every Monday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time through the Facebook page, the Renatus Founders Live Facebook page. There are 3 kinds of people in this world: people who make it happen, people who watch what happens, and the people who wondered what happened. So stay tuned in, stay plugged in by attending that webinar each and every Monday with our CEO, Bob Snyder. Every Monday night, we have our study groups offered from a national standpoint, which is really exciting, something new that we've added to our support systems. So every Monday night at 7 p.m., join us at the study group. We also have our Renatus Helios app that we have recently come out with. Download the app, and if you're happy with it, give it 5 stars. Make sure you know how to locate your access code. This is so that you can send the Money Mastermind videos to your guests, as well as gain protection for your guests. Every week we have our Private Capital Masterclass, Thursdays at 6 p.m. We have our daily Real Estate Action Mastermind, the Dream Call. That's Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 9:45. We have our daily team call. That's what we're on right now, Monday through Friday. For a long time, we were doing these calls just Monday through Thursday. So we've added on Friday and just want to make sure everyone's aware of that, Monday through Friday. And then we also have our Zoom up call, which is Monday through Friday at noon. It's only about 15 to 20 minutes long. Michael Huggins and Scott Rowe have put together the Zoom call so that they can interview different students from across the nation. And they are recording each of these interviews, and we are just hearing amazing, amazing results from so many people from across the nation. So make sure you're tuning into the Zoom up call Monday through Friday at noon. If you're not able to make it live, check out the Zoom up playlist on our YouTube channel, Elevate Renatus. Oh Yes, OES talks about the optional event subscription, what that is, why it's important to be a part of it, what comes with it, how it supports the teams, and you can also sign up for the OES through this website. If you're looking to introduce your students to, or your guests to our Profits education, you can do so by getting them to the Profits intro, get them in front of Bob Tierney. He is doing a Profits intro every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and you can find that in the Helios calendar. Just search for Profits. Every week, we have a house tour, a virtual house tour. Last week, we toured Mike Word's property. Congratulations, Mike. This was a really cool one. Normally we do, not normally, but a lot of the time we're touring fix and flips. And so this was a cool, different deal where Mike doesn't own the property. He's paying rent on it, and then he is subleasing it out for a short-term rental on multiple platforms. He borrowed $15,000 of capital from somebody else. His monthly rent is $1,450. Costs of running it are about $550 a month. And through the nightly income through the income of having it as a nightly rental, he's able to earn $2,800 a month. So after expenses, a positive cash flow of $800. So congratulations, Mike. That was an awesome property. Thank you for letting us tour that last week. So again, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. we have our house tour offered in English. And then alongside that, the AIT bonus track study group offered in Spanish every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thursdays, we've got our house tour offered in Spanish, our Pillars of Wealth in English, follow-up and funding webinar. We've got our onboarding session and essentials mastermind, as well as multifamily, wholesaling, and short-term rental study groups. These recordings, you can find them in two places. So we record these morning calls as well as the Zoom up calls that I mentioned. These morning calls, we are on Facebook Live through our Renatus Team Elevate page. So do make sure you're a part of that page. Lots of important announcements there. Plus you get to network with the team. And then our Renatus YouTube channel is Elevate Renatus. You can find the Zoom up calls there as well as these morning calls. Today we get to learn from Bill Predebon. I'm going to first, talk about Billy, help you learn a little bit more about him. And then before we bring Bill out, we'll go through the money matrix exercise or money mastermind exercise. So Bill, every Tuesday we get to learn from Bill. I'm so grateful that he spends an hour with us to train. And Bill is an incredible individual. We both work together here in Arizona, and I've gotten to know him pretty well over the last few years. And before Renatus, he was a pro skier in Colorado, in Vail, Colorado, and he realized he was unemployable. He needed to do something else to earn income. So he got into the franchise world. He actually bought a couple of stores, and due to lack of knowledge, he lost everything. Then in 2007, he heard about real estate investing, but rather than getting educated, he just dove right in. And this was actually during the 2008 crash. He had gotten himself into a hole of about $400,000 of debt. After this, just around after 2008 was when Bill found Renatus, and in his first year, he made 8 times more than he did the previous year, both as a loan officer as well as a realtor. And if we fast forward to today, Bill has now completed well over 150 transactions. He has pulled himself out of that hole, obviously, and has grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate investing. He's also a marketing leader and is on the PIT team, meaning our CEO has him in training to be on the PAC, the President's Advisory Council. So we are very, very, very fortunate to get to learn from Bill Predebon. Before we bring out Bill today, I am going to go ahead and play our Money Matrix video. So let's go ahead and get that going. This is a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing my phone with you. Okay. I know there's no sound. Let me figure out why.
Go into your settings, Kelly. It's probably on AirPlay.
AirPlay?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I tested this last night and the sound is working fine.
And just because you need it to work, that it's not working properly for you right now.
Exactly, right? That's how it goes.
Mine was doing that too, but it would actually go into AirPlay, but on your Bluetooth.
Because I don't have Bluetooth set up. I'm plugged in using a cable. So why don't we do this? Thanks for your patience, guys. Sorry.
Kills, you could always play it after Bill, just to have Bill jump in and then play it after Bill's done, just until you figure it out.
Hey, I like that idea a lot. Let's go ahead and do that. So, Bill, are you there? I'll have to play around with this some more and figure out why the volume's not working.
I'm here.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good. Well, sorry for the little mix up here, but we're definitely ready and excited to hear from you for whatever you got to share with us today. So if you could maybe spare us with another, at the end, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to do the money matrix, then we'll go ahead and do that. And you've got the next 30 minutes to do your thing.
Okay. Well, I got to be honest, folks. I was looking forward to this different format, and I was going to play off the money matrix, actually, Keely, and
Oh, of
kind of
course.
follow through what people were sharing, and then move that into my training. So
Okay.
we could shift gears and figure it out.
I can always play it from my computer.
I don't know what that means.
So I'm playing the money matrix right now off of my phone through the app because I wanted to play the one that they're updating on a daily basis, like just go along with each day's one that's uploaded, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So when I do it from my computer, I just have to go off the list and I don't know which order. So I would just pick a random one from our Helios. So if you want to do that, I can just play one real quick from the website.
Is the newest one not the last one that is posted in there on the list?
I don't think so, but you could be right. I'm gonna pull it up right now, Bill. If that's what you want to do?
cool.
Probably worth a shot.
It's up to you, Keels. Okay, so let's kick it off this way, since it's all about participation. Anybody on the line? There are 67 of us. There were 69, so we've already lost a couple people. Does anybody I shouldn't say does anybody, I'm sure everybody does. Does anybody have a scenario, a prospect, a marketing situation that you would like to come out off of mute and discuss and see how I would handle it, how I would answer it, what I would do with it, or how I can help you with that individual that you're working with, or multiple, or may not even be an individual. Maybe it's just your business in general.
Yeah, I got one. All
right, Charles. Sounds
So,
good.
I had one.
Hi, this one.
They were showing up to the event, and then all of a sudden they got sick. So I didn't know how you would handle it. How would you respond to that?
Thanks.
What was the scenario of the last text you had for them, or a conversation? Does that make sense? Like, where were they at when you said they've been to the events? Had you done a one-on-one follow-up with them? Had you asked for the sale yet? Were they still going through their due diligence? Where were they at in the process?
They were going through Get Funded Online, and I invited them to a couple of events.
And do you know what they said when they said they were sick? Like, you invited them and then they just said, "Hey, I can't make it, I'm sick"?
No, they actually went to the event, and then I called them at the scheduled time the next day, and then that's when I found out that they were sick. Because I called them up at the scheduled time, and then I texted them later and asked them how everything was going, and that's when they told me that they were sick.
So this is what I would do. obviously you're going to check in once a week, give or take a day, and just see how they're feeling. And then in between that check-in, where it's just a little sincere check-in on how they're feeling and how they're doing, and hopefully they're doing well and that kind of thing. In between there, I would also shoot them another text, for example, and I would re-engage them with another event. So fortunately, for example, we have a couple of events coming up in the future that you already know about. One could be a property tour in 2 weeks, not next week, not this week, but in 2 weeks, just because that gives them some time. Or you may say, listen, I'm going to check in with you next week, but on the fourth Saturday, whatever Saturday that is of this month, I don't know what day that is. We're going to have an incredible event with Jeff Armstrong, and you don't want to miss this. I'm sure you'll be feeling perfect for this event, and I'll look forward to plugging you into that. And you can tell him what that it's about notes and whatever. So you just prep him so he's getting his or her mindset ready for that event in a few weeks later, giving them a little reprieve that they don't have to worry about coming to another event soon because they're not feeling good. But then in the meantime, they're going to get better sooner than that. And your little check-ins with them on their actual health and not talking business will spark a conversation, hopefully, that will lead to them plugging back in to get funded, as well as having conversations with you about funding.
All right.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? Did that help?
Yeah.
I mean, I would, depending on the last time they told you you're feeling good, right away when someone tells me they're not feeling good or, hey, I'm not doing well, obviously my instant response within 24 hours is, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. Obviously thinking about you. Let me know. I'll check in from time to time, see how you're doing. I'll look forward to re-engaging when you're feeling better. And then the next week, either that weekend or Monday or whatever, the following week, it's like, hey, was thinking about you. I know you're, this darn stuff that's out there. Hopefully it's not that, but if it is, I know it takes a few weeks to get better. So hopefully you're on the tail end of it or something like that. And then the next 5 days later, it's like checking in. Hey, you want to get on the phone sometime? Let me know how you're feeling. I don't know if you want to break the monotony of being sick, but let me know and I'll get on a conversation. So you just, you're just checking in with them. But in the meantime, you answer, you let them know that, hey, I've got you plugged into an event when you're up and running again. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Jared, go ahead. You there, buddy? There he is.
Me? Who?
Yeah. What's up, my man?
Oh, okay. So I have a quick question. It's not necessarily a scenario, but a constant problem I've been having. So I just faced in the marketing side of things again, but what would be called diarrhea of the mouth. So I just give too much information, I think. So what would you say? Like I satisfy the curiosity instead of like come to the event, let's do this. I like to talk too much, I think. So what would you say, a strategy or any suggestions you can give me to put a cork in it?
So I love that you do this, because I would say that the larger percentage of us do this, and that just means that we're enthusiastic and we're excited about what we have, and it's not a bad thing. It's not, however, information and facts don't sell. And that's the only problem. So it's just not a very good sales tactic, but it is your enthusiasm and and I know you from the dream calls and stuff, your excitement, your knowledge, and your skill set is infectious. So that's awesome. So the number one thing we can think about, the cliche would be, you're not the message, you're the messenger. All right. You're not the messenger. What is it, Keely?
You are not the message, you're the messenger.
Yes. So if you could keep that in mind first, is that, it's not your job to do the presentation, unless of course you want to do the presentation. Then set them up for the presentation. Say, listen, you got 70 minutes. I want to talk to you. But other than that, your job is to just invite, create curiosity, create a hook, and then pull them in with a short story, right? See the people. So you create curiosity, tell the story, you tell a quick Jared story or any one of the dream call stories that you've heard. Oh my God, the other day I was mentoring, or I was helping, lead this dream call and all about real estate. And they're probably wondering what that is. And that sounds cool, but you're not telling them any of that. You're just telling a story about someone's deal they're doing. And then it's the intrigue. Listen, if that interests you, and you kind of like what you're hearing and it's something you want to do, which you've already told me, I've got this opportunity for you to plug into one of our events on Thursday night, or however you want to do the pitch. And so when they have questions, especially they're going to have them, right? And they're going to be like, well, how long did it take you, Jared? And how do you get to be able to mentor these guys, or how do you get to lead the dream call, or how were you able to do so many deals, and what kind of education is it, and how does it really help you? And they're going to ask you all these cool questions because they can tell that And so where we have to put the cork on it is we have to remind them that these are fantastic questions. I'm so glad you asked. And you know what? To be honest, I probably could tell you enough to where I'd make you dangerous. That's the whole point of what you're going to come see Thursday night. Thursday night is going to explain and get you all your questions answered. Or when you watch this recorded video, it's going to share with you exactly that. In fact, if you come, when you come on Saturday to the property tour or Wednesday night to the tour, you're going to, all those questions about how this, how someone can actually raise 200 grand, it'll be demonstrated to you. Let me ask you this. Wouldn't you rather see it for yourself and kind of watch it hands-on, or would you rather me just kind of teach you how to do it, right? Most of us don't learn by me teaching, right? So yeah, I could probably explain it to you, but don't you think you learn better if you saw it in live in person? And then they'll be like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean? So you want to ask your way out of explaining it by asking them and letting them tell you they'd rather hear it from the horse's mouth than hear it from you, if that makes sense. But it's one of the things that I did, and I used to do this, Jared, all the time, especially when I really wasn't a marketer, when I was just a real estate investor, and I would talk to people that were interested just because they wanted to do what I was doing back in 2009, 10, and 11, and I would do the same thing. Sometimes I would do a introduction, an invite call for an hour, and I'd never hear from them again. And I would give them so much information that they were so confused they would never show up. Either that, or they just felt like it's the stupidest thing ever because I wasn't able to have any slideshow with them. They couldn't put all the pieces together. It didn't make sense. They were confused. It sounded too hard or too complicated. Or they probably listened to me and said, there is no way I'm ever going to know as much as Bill on this stuff. Why would I ever even try to do that? So we make it just seem like it's impossible for them to understand. So if we realize everything that we say, the more we tell, the more that we are turning them away from it. And we keep that on the forefront of our mind. And the more we ask and the more they tell us, the more chances we have of them going to an event and seeing it. I know that's not just like the easiest answer or whatever, but any way I can elaborate on that at all? Because it's a pretty common thing.
Right. I do like the I can tell you enough to make you dangerous. I like that line. I think I'm gonna use that. That's good.
And we could. I mean, you and I both, right? Anybody that's done a few deals or done a lot of deals like you have or whatever, done some training, we could absolutely tell it our way and make people feel like they have enough information to go do something, or even empower them because we made them feel good and we said some of the things that they thought they weren't sure if they were right, and we're like, oh no, that's exactly how you do it. And then sure enough, they have enough information and there's no intrigue. Facts just tell, and stories really sell, and you can tell the stories. And anytime you tell a story, you follow it up with a quick question. Wouldn't you rather, wouldn't that you like that to be you? Wouldn't you rather meet that person in person, or whatever question you can come up with? Yep.
Got it. Tell a story, then ask a question. Keep it on them. Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Good thought though. I appreciate you guys coming out because it's not easy, you know, it's just like, oh, you don't want to sound like you have a dumb question, or you don't want to sound like, you know, it's like, it's not really not that big a deal, or it's not that big, you know, it's not like some big crazy thing that happened with one of your prospects. So you know, we tend not to speak up. And then, you know, most of the time, these are the things that are pretty specific to everybody's business. And, you know, I don't care if you've been in it, you know, a week or a year or a day or whatever it is, but we all go through it all the time. I'm probably still guilty of that. All right, good one. Anybody else? Hey, Frank, do you have a question? Yeah, go
I had
ahead.
a question.
Yeah, perfect.
First, I was going to do a follow-up on what you guys were just talking about.
Absolutely.
Also, you can kind of predetermine the highlights of the education that you want to have as your bullet points, but then that's it, right? So, you know, saving on taxes, saving on interest, you know, fix and flip or short-term rentals, something like that. And then, so you'll want to check out this video, but you can have your little highlights of the few things. And that way you feel like you've said something, but then giving them a little of information, but not too much information. And then you can just talk about those subjects lightly and then get them into a meeting.
Correct. But anytime, and you are right. You want to be able to touch on, remember folks, anytime that we are telling anybody anything, we are not selling. Anytime that they are telling us stuff and they are answering our questions and they are telling us what they're looking for by us asking questions, then we are controlling the conversation and we are moving them towards something. For example, a phone call follow-up I did yesterday was immediately him telling me that he wasn't ready to get started. You know, after talking to his wife and you know, he was 100% go. All he had to do is figure out where he's going to get the money. You know, he has the money, but which direction he was going to go with the funds. And then he talked to his wife and talked to his dad, and they told him no, basically. Or they said, you know, at this time, don't you think about this? And they gave him all the reasons why not to do it. And so he took that advice and decided against it. And so immediately I could tell. I could start to say, you know, say things to overcome the objection. But instead it took me a minute. Like I literally had to look at my board, look at his name, determine the outcome of the call that I wanted, and then begin to ask questions. So I'm like, great. And my first question, when he said, you know what, at this time I've decided, you know, it's not just forever, but for right now, I'm going to hold off. My dad and I want to do this project together, and I've got the, you know, money for that. And so that was like, could have been there. Oh, you know, I totally understand. You know, let me know when you're ready. You know, it's timing's everything. And I could have just whatever. And so I paused for a second. And my first question was, well, so you talked to your dad about it. So what did your dad like the best about it? Like, you know, when you talked to you and your wife and your dad, what did they love about the opportunity with you joining Renatus? And then he moved right in. He's like, oh, they love the opportunity that it's education, that there's a lot of strategies that they could work with, or that I could be able to learn, you know, and started telling me about stuff. And so I started to ask more questions. So we, the more that we ask and the less we tell, even if we have, and I like, Laura, what you're saying, having those tools in our belt, those little bullet points on each of the intrigues that could affect one person: velocity banking, fix and flip, buy and hold, taxes. Those are all the little things, that problems that Renatus can solve. But we don't ever want to, I shouldn't say ever. It may be best if we pull those out once someone tells us that they're interested in that particular topic. If they're not interested in saving money on their credit cards or whatever it is, or paying down debt, and they just want to go learn how to leverage debt so they can get more houses, then we don't need to talk about velocity banking. We need to talk about fix and flip education and private money education. And I know you know that. So in
Yeah,
there,
you want to tie the highlight in together.
right?
Yes.
Perfect. What was your question?
Yeah, my technical question was, so I'm having my first person go into funding. Is there anything I need to do on my side or just send them to the website?
Yeah, this is a great question, everybody. So one of the things you can do is introduce yourselves to Credit Nerds. You could call Credit Nerds up and say, hey, this is, Laura, I've got my first person coming into funding. I'm looking forward to you guys taking care of them. Let me know if there's anything I need to do and whatever. So you could introduce yourself or just, not even ask if they need something, but your experience is going to be this. You're going to make sure that you're on the drop-down tab. So when they go there, who invited them, you're on the drop-down tab. So they're connected to you. Number two is, so that means you have to enroll as an enroller.
How do I do that though?
Go to the website and it'll prompt you through enrolling yourself as an enroller for people in Credit Nerds. Because they, just like Renatus, they track the people that are being funded to the person. And when we're not enrollers and then they default, then Sandy Curtis has to try to track them down to see who they go with.
Are they using Credit Nerds?
Huh?
Yeah.
Did she say they're using? Okay.
She's going to go through that and just see if she can get funded. But basically, I just remembered the first time I had done it, that the person who enrolled me wasn't on the list. And so I had to go to Michael. And so what happened was Regina hadn't set up herself properly on Credit Nerds. I remembered that when I was enrolling. And then I remember some type of training saying something we needed to do first so that we were in that drop down. But I just couldn't remember what it was. And I want to send this girl to Credit Nerds, but I was like, I think I got to do something first.
And it doesn't have to be that way, but you should do, it'll make it easier for everybody if everybody on here gets enrolled, get funded online as an enroller for people going to get credit there. Because the other thing is I have ICMs and what's the word I'm looking for? I have real estate people on my team that are going to Credit Nerds all the time after they've already funded 100% of their education to go get more credit. And I don't get credit necessarily for it, but it's just, they keep track of it and they're like, hey, working with Brian to get you funding. They just let me know. I see that there's some comments up here, so I'm gonna get to you guys in just a second. It's perfect. So Laura, here's the next thing, you guys. Once this happens, realize that when you're an enroller, the coolest thing about that, when they know that you're on there, you're gonna get updated emails all the time as to who's going through funding. Sometimes you don't even know your people are going through funding, and they might do it 6 weeks later after you put them on a drip list, and all of a sudden they're checking out get funded. And you're like, cool. And then you could follow up with that individual. So if you're not an enroller, you're not getting notices that your people are trying to get funding. Then when they get funding, you want to, especially when you've sent them right away and they're willing to go get there, you guys listen up. You want to remind them that the biggest downfall is that none of us follow through with what we're told, what we're supposed to do. Life gets busy and so on and so forth. So as our job, we can remind them, number one, when they go to get funding, they have to sign up for the 7-day free trial at Pro Credit. When they do that, they have to send over their login, which is their email, and their password that they create to get into Pro Credit, which is a free credit reporting. But the Credit Nerds need it for that first week. They can cancel it after the first week, but they need that the first week. But Credit Nerds has to log into their credit report as them. So Credit Nerds need their login and their password. So there is a spot when they're filling out their information on Get Funded in order for that, but everybody skips it. They just don't ever send over their login and password, so it's an invalid report. So that Credit Nerds can't pull their credit report because they don't have the login. So we have to remind them, hey, by the way, Laura, don't forget, as soon as you fill out your Credit Nerd stuff and you're all set, they're going to be excited. They're going to assess your credit immediately. You'll get a response within 24 hours, but you have to send over your login and password for your free credit report once you fill it out and open that account so that they can log in with you. And so don't forget to do that. Once they've determined that they're going to get funding, let's just say they didn't default to the billing. Okay, let's just say they had a good credit score and they can qualify for some sort of funding. Nobody knows what that is yet, but Credit Nerd sends you an email and says, congratulations, they've qualified for conventional funding. We're going to start the process. Well, the first thing that goes out is a bunch of documents. Well, they get emailed to the individual. And when they're emailed to the individual, nobody knows what the heck they're doing. And the individual doesn't ever fill them out. But they can't move forward. They can't fill out any applications on behalf of the individual. So understand the process. When Credit Nerds gets a get funded and somebody qualifies with their credit report, their fake credit report, their free credit report, they look at it and go, wow, I think we can get this guy some credit from one of the 100+ vendors that we use to get lines of credit. So they send them an email and say, hey, we can do this. Let's move forward. How much money do you want? It says that you want 30 grand, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to send you some documents to fill out. Please fill those documents out. And basically those documents are telling Credit Nerds all of their credit application information so that Credit Nerds can go apply simultaneously to multiple banks at the same time on behalf of that particular individual. They are doing the applying themselves. So they have to fill out the documents and send them back to Credit Nerds. Number two is the applications come in. Once the applications get filled out, the individual still has to approve sending the applications out to the credit banks. So there's a second process. So Credit Nerds will work with them. They will call them and they will email them and they will get a hold of them and they will walk them through it. It's not your job. But sometimes Credit Nerds will call you and say, listen, we've left 2 messages for your people at work. We haven't gotten the application signatures. We can't go forward and apply for credit for them because they're not finishing the process. So this way you're kept in the loop and you're going to get emails that say this stuff as well. So that's what you would need to do as an individual walking someone through Credit Nerds. Is that clear? It's a great opportunity and a great process.
Hey, Bill, can I just jump out for a second and make a comment?
Yes, sir. And then I'm going to go to GS.
Okay. Yeah, so in jumping on what you were just discussing with Laura there, the funds webinar, don't forget about that. That's a great place to send people. Or get the recording that's available out on Credit Nerds. I forget the exact URL, but that's great to send to people. Back to you.
Yep. Yep. And you can let them know you're exactly right. When they go to get funded, there is an instructional video for people applying for credit that walks them through 3 minutes of what they need to do and the expectation. So that's very, very, very good point. We do have a funding webinar out of Chicago, and we have the, and you're right, there is a recorded video. Perfect. You're exactly right. I'm glad. If you find it in the meantime, you can always put in the chat. All right.
The beautiful thing is you can say that that's done by the instructor too.
Absolutely.
Credit.
Great idea. Eric Counts himself does that video. You're exactly right. That's perfect. So collaboration is what this is all about. At times I struggle to articulate my thoughts and feelings into words and verbally express them to others, as I grew up in a culture and environment that voicing my opinions or thoughts was a sign of disrespect to elders, especially to my parents. What are some of the ways you suggest to overcome these emotions and feel comfortable talking to prospects? At times I struggle to articulate my thoughts and feelings into words and verbally express them to others, as I grew up in a culture and environment that voicing my opinions or thoughts was a sign of disrespect to elders, especially to my parents. What are some of the ways you suggest to overcome these emotions and feel comfortable talking to prospects? So if you ask Keely this question, she would say Toastmasters, no matter what. I know it's a public speaking thing, but it's also an internal thing. You cannot go wrong with Toastmasters. All that is personal development. If Michael Huggins was answering this question, he would tell you to read books. He would tell you to get a personal coach. He would tell you to dive into the training, get on these calls. If Bob Snyder was here, he would probably tell you in the 10-step program to talk to more people. The more people you talk to, the more you will learn to do this. All of these things are good things. The way I will answer this is you may want to determine, and this will go back to the 4 core beliefs, why you want to articulate anything to anybody in the first place. And I know you have good intentions. I know that you mean well, and I know I can honestly relate to your struggle that that we're all aware of. We all have in some way here when we're dealing with this, is being able to like literally talk to somebody without nerves and without limiting beliefs and without hesitation and feeling like we're going to say the wrong things or not convey the message very well at all. So in order to be articulate, one of the things that we do, if we were to think in the world of everything of our day-to-day and weekly operations of our lives, and we talk to other people about things that we have opinions and thoughts and feelings about, we rarely ever hesitate when it comes to, just the way that we are in our world with work, or with a passion we have, or with family or friends. We're able to communicate because it's something we believe in. It's something we feel, experience, know, and love. So back to the 4 core beliefs, if we truly believe that this is something that everybody needs, if we truly believe that this is something that can help everybody, if we truly believe that it's helping us, that there's a culture here, there is a camaraderie here, there is value here, then regardless of how well we articulate it, we can stand behind it. We can trust that our message has value and is not with ill intent, and will help anybody that will listen. So we could reframe a little bit about why we're saying what we're saying, and eventually perhaps our articulation, our communication, our conveying of the message will grow into a little bit better way of being said, and it'll be heard well, heard better. In the meantime, in order to expedite that, in order to improve that, in order to make that happen sooner, we would work on personal development. And Michael was able to personally develop himself over time, probably more than most in this company, and probably has a little bit to do with his success as well, is the amount of personal development and change he went through in order to be able to talk to people the right way. I hope that helps. Anybody want to comment on that, or add to that, or question off of that?
I think that's really, really good advice. And for the longest time, I've been really awkward with even something as simple as small talk with people that I don't know. It just makes me very uncomfortable. So my whole entire life, up until I started hanging around this group of people, like I said, it was just really awkward, just even having small talk. Like I'd bring people to the meeting, and we'd be waiting for the meeting to start in Scottsdale, and like we'd have to kind of create some small talk with our guest. And it was just always really, really uncomfortable for me. And so, like Bill said, Toastmasters has been huge. And then just being a part of Renatus and being asked to share my story and to just come out and speak has helped. And just getting uncomfortable very regularly and just putting yourself in the position to do the thing that you want to accomplish. It's going to be uncomfortable, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get. It just takes practice.
Keely, that's exactly right. And I have 2 thoughts on that. Number one is potentially ATM for you. GS, I don't know if you've done that, might be a great opportunity for you, because they're going to force your butt to get into gear and come out of your shell a little bit. Number 2 is, everybody on this line, please, Keely, spot on. She has had guests, she has had opportunity, and because of that fear and that ability to create that small talk, perhaps has even lost sales. And one of the things that she did not do was quit. She is committed 100% to this. So we are all going to go through our own struggles. And if you still commit and you don't quit, you will find yourself, like Keely, in a fantastic position. And I don't care if it's a year or 6 months or 2 years, but if you don't quit and you stay committed, Dr. G uses that word commitment. He's committed. He's committed himself to this forever. So it's a very powerful word and to live by. Yep. So go to Landmark Forum is another one. And Toastmasters. Yep. Tomorrow. You're absolutely right. Unleash the. You unleash. I don't know.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
This is Gelda. It is the power, unleash the power within. It's actually given by Tony Robbins, and that is so powerful. Not just to communicate or learn how to communicate or start talking like what Keely was saying, but it's like going right to the bottom of like limiting beliefs, because that's obviously one of the limiting beliefs that this person is experiencing. So I definitely recommend that they do it online. And so it's a great event.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's great, Gil. You're right. Everybody's been to some sort of, or not everybody's been, but most of us have been to some sort of, whether it's landmark. Everybody, either likes or doesn't like whatever one they went to, and then if they did like it, they'll refer it. So Tony Robbins, of course, is somebody we all know and respect. So there's an option there. Whatever you choose, whatever price you want to pay. You can pay a lot or you can pay a little. You can buy a book and figure it out on your own. You can join some groups, whatever it is. But, I think practice will make perfect. I think that digging deep and looking within and figuring out why you want to do this, and which is going to bring me to my next comment right here. If we have something, as humans, when we, just human nature in anything we do, we typically don't have a problem conveying a message. And I don't know, GS. I mean, if you have movies and things that you like and things that you believe in, and you're still not able to, just by your culture, by growing up, and you can't say that, then obviously we have to figure out another like actual way to communicate it. But if it's more of it's just something you've never done, and over time you don't express your feelings and things like that, then but when it comes to business and money, and it comes to telling somebody else what they should be thinking about, and when it comes to offering opportunities to people, those are unnatural for all of us. Those things, when we're talking finance, when we're asking people what their finances are like, when we're asking people if they've ever thought about being an entrepreneur, those are not natural things. In society, we don't talk about each other's salaries. We don't talk about each other's, home life and things like that. It's all surface level stuff unless you're a friend or a family member. And even then it's bullshit. Sorry, BS. So you're not experiencing that alone. So if we want to convey a message the way that we do, it is imperative that we treat it like anything else that we feel comfortable talking about, which is something we believe in, something we are strong about, whether we've had, success with it or not. We talk about movies and Netflix series and things like that even before we watch them. And I know it's not the same, but the theories, the concept's the same. Is that, man, I think it would be great. Could you imagine going to the Philippines and being in their weather, and when it's winter here? That would be so amazing. I mean, would you ever want to go to the Philippines, right? And we've never been to the damn Philippines, but we've always read about it and looked at it on TV and stuff like that, and we're willing to talk about it. So it's the same concept here when it comes to that. So let's lead to this. Here's the thing. There's a comment in here that's private, but he says, I wish that I had someone in funding. Laura has someone in funding. Congratulations, by the way. That is a milestone, right? And it's cool. Renatus is not get rich quick. Renatus business is not something where people sign up and come out of the gate and make $1 million. Renatus, in fact, we had a conversation about this yesterday with Bob on the Pit Pack call. And Renatus is not, there's even people that have come out and made $100,000 in their first 3 months. And those people are gone, because there are your windfall people. There are your folks that come in for whatever reason and have some sort of background or some sort of momentum going and make a bunch of sales. Renatus is a long journey. Renatus isn't about quitting your job in your first year. Renatus is supplemental income. The reason it's supplemental income is Renatus as a business is there to give you extra income. And if you follow the Kiyosaki and the Renatus model, the extra income is to feed your real estate habit. Your job pays your bills. Your Renatus income feeds your real estate habit as you get started, so that you can support your real estate endeavors as you're learning to become a real estate investor. In a short, long period of time, which could be a year to 5 years, you will eventually spend enough time and have enough success over time with commitment and non-quitting and actually putting your mind to it. And if you seriously followed the marketing path while you're learning, and you're not trying to jump into real estate and get burned and struggle. If you talk to most people, and we had a freaking lie detector test against us, and we were talking about real estate, we would tell you it's freaking hard. I don't care how much education you have. It's nerve-wracking. There's risk. It's hard. At the end of the day, it's a great prize, but getting there, I don't even want to, I've forgotten what it was like to get there on even deal specific or year specific, because I don't want to remember how much headache I went through and how much risk I took and how much money I had to put on my credit cards and how many arguments I had with my wife because I was spending personal money on getting a deal done. We forget this stuff. So Renatus is about long-term, short, long-term. The Renatus business is about a learning curve. And for everybody, it's different. But we were talking about this yesterday. The majority of the people in Renatus that are making money in Renatus, hundreds of people that are making money, they've been around a while. They have been doing this for a while. This is not overnight. This isn't even over a year. This is over time. Some of you have been around for 2 years and you finally are just getting back into it. And all of a sudden it's going to click. Something in time will work for you. It may be sooner or later, and that's all going to depend on your personal development. But even Michael Huggins, for his first 3 years, and I use Michael because I just know his story, but I'm talking about Scott Rowe, everybody, you guys, all the PAC members that went through the old company and then went through this huge downturn and then they were faced with a decision in 2011 to join the PAC again and to be a part of Renatus and lead with Bob and things like that. And it was a scary decision because they just got their butts kicked in a marketing company without doing much real estate. It's amazing. James Lease, for example, he didn't do his first real fix and flip for 5 freaking years. For 5 years after being a part of this company. There's so much we just see on the surface and we want to believe is just perfect, and it's not. So I know that you may not have somebody in funding, or you may only have one person in funding. And I know that not everybody on this call is making the money in Renatus that we want, that it's not happening yet. It's not providing. You haven't quit your job. You still have to have a second job. And it's hard. And all of that is true. If this was easy, everybody would do it. It just wouldn't even be existing. But it is simple. And it does require a certain level of commitment. Renatus is work, but it's fun work. And I sat down yesterday on a one-on-one for 2 hours with a couple of my members that bought the education and they're focused on real estate. And they were like, you know what, I need to do this, I need to do that. And that's our tendency, is that we need to do things. We don't need to do anything. You guys are where you are, and where you are is acceptable. Where you are is fine. There's nothing wrong with where you are. The difference is where you're going and what you're doing about it now. What you've done, what you have or haven't done is what that's exactly where it's supposed to be. Because if it wasn't supposed to be that way, you wouldn't be there. You wouldn't feel like you need to do more. So first of all, it's okay to be where you're at. Number 2 is, when we look at that, let's just look at it from a point of, okay, what's, and finally, I said to them, the number one thing that you can do, and you've heard me say this, in any endeavors, is simply just do more marketing. Just talk to more people. And when you do that, this journey will move faster. The way that you do that is exactly what we talked about with GS, is we get more development, personal development. We plug into these calls more often. And then we write down action steps. And if we don't know how to implement the action steps, ask our 5-star, get on the calls like this and just type it in the chat. No matter if Dane's talking or Wanda's talking, who's talking, get on the dream call and ask Jared a question. Get on the coaching call and ask Gavin a question. But have your action steps and take it. All right. All right. Well, we had to adjust and shift, as you will, in Renatus, and as an entrepreneur. Keely, it is not your fault. I'm not worried about it. We will hit up the money matrix tomorrow. All of them, feel free, you guys, to take advantage of the money matrix today in your Helios app. Give it a 5-star rating. Get in the app, listen to the thing, listen to it for 10 minutes, and then respond. Write something down like Michael had you do yesterday, and take it on today as your own activity of taking care of the mastermind, the money matrix, and doing something about it instead of just listening to it while you're going to the bathroom. All right, with that, everybody, I love you guys. I hope I helped everybody out. I know I helped myself out because I got to listen to my own darn advice because I get stuck in the same stupid trends that we all do. So you guys are awesome. Thank you very much for the love. I love you guys. You guys all have my number if you ever need it, 760-533-3141. You can reach out to me. Keely, thanks for all you do. Thanks for putting this together. Thanks for the announcements. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. And thanks for being an amazing, huge part of this community, all of you. I love you guys. You're welcome, everybody. Doug, Deborah, Gilda, Jared, awesome, everyone. Tamara, you're a beautiful girl. I'll see you on Thursday. Jared, my friend, thanks for coming out. Frank, thanks for being here. And Laura, thanks for participating. Everybody that participated, thank you so much for coming out. It's awesome. Bobby G, what's up? Good to see you. All right, Mike Word, what's up? Talk to you guys soon. Keely, I'll say goodbye.
Love you, bro.
Thanks,
All right,
Bill.
love you too, man. See you Thursday.
Really
Bye.
great training today. Thank you.
Hey, I heard someone's really good that's
How's your
doing the
brother?
presentation. You guys should see the presentation Thursday night. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
How's
Hey,
your
I'll
brother?
give you Bill, this really cool guy. His name's Bill Predebon. He is doing our intro presentation on Thursday. So if you haven't been with us on
There's
Thursday night
something
for
that
the
came through in
intro,
my text.
Bill has been the last 2 weeks. So anyway, let's see Bill on Thursday night. Amazing training today, Bill. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We'll
Thanks,
see you all
everybody.
tomorrow.
All right. See you soon.